Hello, this film is called Using Small Data Samples in Research. I talk with a lot of students, I think, who don't quite understand the problems with using small amounts of data in their research. And I think sometimes this is because they don't understand some of the terms, some of the words that their professors and teachers are using in trying to help them and supervise their research projects. So the first term we come across here is the word generalizability. So you might have come across the word general, and generalizability is how much our research applies to everyone, not just the people we talk to in doing our research. So usually your research is interested in a big group of people, for example, who might be experiencing something and you want to try and help them. And because of your um, limited resources of time, money, and energy, you only have the ability to talk to a small sample, a smaller group, a smaller part of that bigger group of people. But we have to ask questions and then think about the answers to try and make what we think about those things to be as general as possible. So we can hopefully apply what we find to everyone, not just the people we talk to. This is important because we want our research to be helpful and useful to the most people it can be. Another term is representative or representativeness of the data, the questions that we're asking. So, for example, small groups might not be typical of the larger population, the bigger group from which they have been chosen. So, if we only ask a few people, they might not be like most people in the group that we are studying. This is a problem because it can lead to us having the wrong ideas. We might think something is true for everyone, but actually it's only true for the people we've talked to or have asked to fill in our questionnaires or take part in our surveys. Another issue is what's called sampling bias. Sampling bias. So, this is where we choose the wrong people. For example, if we only talk to people who agree with us or who are easy for us to find, our results might be biased because all those people agree, or all those people are our friends on the same course as us at university. And so it's a very sort of niche specialist group, and they don't perhaps have the same feelings as everyone that we need to talk to. So this can give us the wrong view, a skewed view. We might think something is more or less common than it really is. So, for example, if we've only spoken to people between the ages of 20 and 30, what about people who are older or younger than that group of people? You see, there could be problems there, couldn't there? Also, about data saturation. So, this is meaning about getting enough information. Because sometimes, even with a small group, we can get enough information to understand the topic. However, but with small groups, it's harder to be sure. We might miss important details or viewpoints or opinions that are really important for us and our research. Also, the kind of statistical power, if you like, because numbers matter. Small groups might not have enough of this statistical power to show us if there are real differences or relationships between things. This can make it quite difficult, quite hard for us to draw strong conclusions because we might think there's a connection, but really we can't be sure that it's actually a fact, actually real. Also, what about the context? This is all about where and when our research is happening. What we find in one place or time might not be true in a different place at a different time. Small groups make it therefore harder to see the bigger picture. We might miss how our findings fit into the wider world. For example, if you're only asking Nigerians their view on something, what about Brits? What are their view? It could be totally different. So, how do we cope with this? What are our strategies for addressing these limitations? Firstly, you can ask more people. Ask more people to be part of your interview or your study, to answer your questionnaires or your focus group. Because more people, you'll get a better, more rounded picture. But think carefully and choose people carefully. Pick people who represent the whole group that you're studying. And perhaps it's important to look at how things work in different places at different times. So, are different settings going to give you different patterns or different viewpoints of people? Use different methods. So, try, for example, interviews with surveys or observations to get a more complete view. Also, balance that with what you've read about the subject. And finally, be honest about the limitations. When you are discussing your research or writing about your research, tell the people who are going to read or listen to you about the limitations so they understand the context of your research findings. Be honest. Try and think about what are those limitations and how they are going to impact on what you can actually say about the larger group in your study. Because working with small groups can be really difficult, really tricky. There are those limitations, and as a good student, you need to try and address them early on. So, by using these strategies, you can make your research much more reliable and much more useful. I hope that's helped. Good luck with your research. Bye now.